Court Clerks Association last month. They spent a long weekend learning more and more about how court clerks work across the state. And I think our court is stronger for it. So thanks again for funding that particular venture on their behalf. What you have before you tonight, Judge DeFilippo and I are planning to, or we would like to submit a request to JCAP for an improvement to the court. JCAP, as you may know, is the Justice Courts Assistance Program, and that is an arm of the Office of Court Administration, the Unified Court System, that allows justice courts to apply for grants to improve their plants, so to speak. And our plant is the second floor of 571 Main Street, which is the building owned by the Village. To couple the application that we submitted, or that we'd like to submit, we of course need your permission in order to do so, to submit this application. And I think it's due in a week or so. I have reached out to the Village. I talked to Mayor Mercurio earlier today, and he indicates that he has informally polled the Village board members, and they are all for it so far. I think he said he's got 4 yeses. So I guess that would be enough to allow us to make this improvement to their building. Because after all, it's the building that we're in, as you know, is owned by the Village. So if this court, or if this board will grant our request for to make that application, we'd appreciate it. The primary purpose of it will allow the courtroom floor to be filled with carpet tiles, not unlike what we have in this room. And I believe in particular that it will help the acoustics in the room dramatically. There's a lot of, right now we have a concrete floor with concrete walls, and it's not as nice. And I'm not asking for this grant for aesthetic purposes necessarily, although I think it'll give the court a little more panache. But I'm really looking for it for utilitarian purposes to improve the sound quality, because we have the district attorney at one table talking to lawyers. We've got the judge at the bench talking to lawyers and defendants. We've got the clerk often talking to people looking to pay fines or surrender their licenses or whatever it might be. So there can be 3 or 4, sometimes 5 conversations going on at once in that courtroom. And we need to, we're hoping this will help resolve some of the challenges. So I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Yeah, the grant application that you're hoping to send in has a quote from Heritage Contract Flooring. Is that just something that would you be bound if you got the grant to go through this Heritage flooring?
That's a good question. I don't think we'd be bound to go through them. However, we reached out to them in particular because Ms. Leibrock recommended or noted that they're the ones who provided, I believe, the flooring for this project. So we know that they're kind of quote unquote state approved, or at least that's what the gentleman told me. I met with him, Maureen and Elizabeth and I all met with him a week or 2 ago. And he made it sound like, notwithstanding the fact that his estimates include sales tax, and I don't know why he did that, because of course this would be tax-free. Nevertheless, he made it sound like he does municipal jobs. So, but if you know of a different competitive flooring company through which you might prefer us to look. I'd be happy to
I don't. And I guess my next question, maybe for the board or Martha, is this something that needs to be bid? And that was really my only point. If it doesn't need to be bid, then use who you've used in the past.
It looks like with the interface PC, it looks like they might be on state contract. We would just have to check that out.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah. Having other people pay it. That's
yeah. Perhaps the best part about this, as you know, Mr. Granville, is that this would come at no cost to the town, no cost to the village, and it would be funded by the state.
I think it's great.
Jeff, why would we ask you to go for option 2? Why wouldn't we just say, let's go for option 1 as you prefer?
Well,
and
actually,
option 2 just eliminates part of the project.
Yeah, he broke it down. He broke it into several, and I think what we've asked for is the whole kit and caboodle.
Yes.
Which is
treads and the carpet behind where the judges are and so on.
Yeah, when I say the whole kit and caboodle, I'm
Yeah.
talking about the entire courtroom floor, the dais
Yeah.
upon which the bench sits,
Yeah.
and then also the judge's chambers and the court clerk's office. That's where there's a lot of traffic, of course, that is showing on what is right now somewhat worn carpeting.
Sure.
And so part of the labor, by the way, they say is going to be the challenge of lifting the filing cabinets and the furniture in the judge's chambers and the court clerk's office so as to kind of slide the new carpet underneath.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my understanding.
No, I was just wondering with the two different bids, one option two being less work. I was just wondering why we would authorize you to go for that one. I go for the 30,000 and let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's probably my fault asking him to break it down room by room and project by project. So our application will be for the full amount of what he's offered, all of the above. And who knows, they might say, you know what, we'll fund the carpeting in the courtroom, but we're not going to do your chambers.
They may come in and say, you know what, we're only going to give you 24,000, but
that's the idea. Great. Any other questions? Thank you all very much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks, Jeff. Okay, next we have an application for a dwelling group at 4479 Transit Road in Orchard Park. Property owners Jeff and Amy Simmons. Are they here tonight? Oh. Did you want to come up at all and speak of what you want to do, or are you okay with everything? Okay. Okay. All right. If we have any questions, we'll call you up. We're proposing to remodel half of the interior of the existing garage into an in-law apartment. They'll be installing a new septic system. And they'll run Erie County water line from Old Transit. And I believe this was approved unanimously by the zoning board. So I would ask for any questions from the board or any comments.
You want to go, Chuck? I just want to say I was at the ZBA meeting. I think the Simmons did a great job explaining their intent. There was, if you look on the Google Earth or Google Maps, you can see there's quite a bit of space between them. It's actually a flag lot that you're adjacent to, but there's a berm back there. You're not building an additional structure, but rather reusing an existing structure. So I don't see how it could be of detriment. I don't believe any of the neighbors objected to the project, although they would have been notified because as a result of the ZBA meeting. So I personally have no issue.
just a quick question. I read in the findings part of it as there is no physical change to the exterior of the structure or property, and this is geared towards you too, Rich. You don't need to put any additional windows in for egress, or there's no doors going out the exterior build. All of that is all pretty much set up to meet code, Rich?
Well, we have not applied for a building permit yet.
Okay.
This gets mentioned. Oh, we would definitely be putting,
Windows and doors in.
yeah.
Yeah, and probably a sidewalk on that side towards your neighbor's driveway.
No, we weren't intending that.
You would enter from the house end of the building
Correct.
and walk.
There's an man door before any of the gates that start or the fence that starts. So that side man door that is connected to the driveway there would then be the main entry for that, part of the,
Gotcha. It's kind of a shame that your neighbor's driveway hugs
I know.
your side of his lot and but if nobody has a problem with it.
Any other questions?
I don't have an issue either. It's existing building. Sounds good.
Okay. Well, it'll be on our agenda for our board meeting.
Tonight.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
All right, next, we have a resolution for the traffic study request for Blakely Road. Whereas residents of the town of Aurora have reported that the winding road and speed limit on Corners Road pose a risk to drivers in the area, and have requested that the town investigate possible options for improving traffic safety along Blakely Corner Road, being at the railroad crossing extending east to Wales Town Line. Whereas multiple motor vehicle accidents have occurred along this section of Blakely Road, and now therefore be resolved that the town board board hereby requests a traffic study by the Erie County Department of Public Works Division of Highways to assess the safety concerns arising along Blakely Corner Road between Olean Road and Wales Town Line, and to consider better signage and other traffic calming devices for the section of roadway, and resolve that the Aurora Town Board directs the town clerk to submit certified copy of this resolution to the Erie County Department of Public Works Division of Highways. So we did actually already apply for the TE9, which was in our next segment here, I believe was denied. But there are other traffic calming signage and things that maybe they can do. So we have them coming out. We did a resolution for Blakely and Center. And we're doing this resolution for Blakely at the curve east of Olean. And I'm hoping to get Gina, her name is, from the county, out at the same day, and we can look at both roads and see what possibly could be done to help that situation. So, but we have to give them a resolution. We decided we were going to do this at the last meeting, and so put that on the agenda. And this is the response to the TE9 request for New York State Department of Transportation. This is the speed limit reduction for Bowen Road, East Aurora Village line to Elma Town line. This is one of them. And this is a reply to your recent correspondence regarding the above subject. We have completed our investigation related to this matter. The need for a reduced speed limit is based on a thorough evaluation of many factors, including roadway characteristics, roadway development, and a statistical analysis of prevailing speeds as determined by radar checks. Majority of motorists drive at a speed which they perceive to be reasonable and prudent for existing conditions. Experience has shown that there is no apparent reason for driving at a reduced speed. The posting of signs with an arbitrary lower speed limit does not result in voluntary compliance by the majority of drivers. Thus, the lower speed limit results in larger speed differentials, which can make the road less safe. Generally, the 85th percentile speed and the 10-mile pace are the predominant factors in determining the appropriate speed limit. The 85th percentile speed is the speed at or below which 85% of all vehicles travel. The 10-mile pace is the 10-mile-per-hour speed interval that includes the greatest number of vehicles. In the case of Bowen Road, the 85% speed was found to be 47 miles per hour. The 10-mile pace was 38 to 47 miles per hour, with 85% of the traffic within this pace. 28% of the traffic exceeded the existing 45 mile per hour speed limit, and 77% exceeded the 40 mile per hour, and 98% exceeded the 35 mile per hour. Any potential reduced speed limit value should not place more than 1/3 of the traffic in technical violation of said value. In addition to the radar data we obtained, we utilized the Federal Highway Administration speed limit analysis software program as part of our assessment to independently determine a recommended speed limit on the basis of existing operating speeds, crash data, traffic volumes, roadside development, and roadway geometry. The program output did not recommend lowering the speed limit on Bowen Road. Considering the radar data we have obtained and the output, we have determined that we will not reduce the existing 45 mile hour speed limit at this time. We also reviewed the latest 3 years of crash data along Bowen Road as reported to the New York State Department of Motor Vehicles. And within that period, there were 5 crashes. One crash was attributed to a DWI, one head-on crash due to unsafe speed, one collision with deer, and 2 rear-end crashes attributed to the following too closely, and the other to a road rage event. There does not appear to be a pattern of crashes where speed is the contributing factor. So Bowen Road did not pass. And if we go down to Center Street, west of Westgate and the Village Line, they used the same criteria and recommended the same. I don't think you want me to read the whole thing again. I just thought one would be good. So those 2 were denied. We're still hoping to do some, again, signage for those, for at least Center and Blakely. But as far as the TE9, the DOT has denied those speeds. Any comment, questions?
Not for me. Chief, you have anything to add?
No, it's kind of what I expect.
I don't, I've been doing these for 10 years. And I think probably one was changed. Yeah. So
Speed is often overestimated. When it's. We find that with our speed.
anything else? Okay. Does anybody on the board have anything else they want to talk about on the work session?
Are we wasting time or?
Well, if you have anything that you want to talk about.
Well, going back to the speed study, I mean, I think if we know DOT is going to do that, we have to sit down and I'm happy to do it when the chief has some time and maybe just figure out what we can do about those areas. Because there, as you know, I mean, there's so many areas in the throughout the town that people do complain about it, but maybe we can figure out.
The biggest issue is the complaints are very specific. It's, as you heard over the last couple of meetings, people coming in and telling their stories to you. It was 6 months ago, there was an accident. 3 months ago, 2 cars went speeding by my house. It happens, people do speed, but it's not as common as these people think it is. So you're never going to get everybody to stop speeding. No matter how many tickets we write, how many times you lower the speed limit, people are still going to speed. But not to the extent that some people believe it is that big of an issue. Accidents are usually the biggest telltale of aggressive speeding driving. And we don't have the accidents. Our accidents are going down, if anything, per year. So I mean, I'm glad to sit down and discuss any location and if there's anything else we can do, but
I appreciate it as specific, and I think it's probably better to sit down and talk about it. I mean, one of the families on Center, their house has been hit 5 times. I mean, I think that's a little, that's unusual. On the corner of Center and Emory, that's why they have the what do they call the Jersey guards or something in front of their house?
I think there's been anything recent. Years ago, there was.
Yeah. So I mean, but things like that, obviously, it's something to talk about.
Most of.
Well, we have some time to do it. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else?
Good times.
I don't think we have anything to talk about for the New York Forward interview. The 3 of us are going. I invited Connor as well.
Yeah, if you wanted to show off your sign.
Oh, yeah, look at this. Beautiful.
So maybe you want to talk a little bit about, we got 8 minutes before we can do it. Maybe you want to brag a little bit.
Well, I mean, it's the result of the Climate Smart Community Task Force. And actually a lot of the work goes back quite a ways. The CSC works with the clean energy community as well, and the programs work together. This is after our first year, we were certified bronze. We are the second town in all of Western New York to be certified. And you'll never guess the first one. It's Grand Island. So yeah. So it's so a lot of important things have been done and taken care of. And as we look towards silver, it's where the money really starts to kick in. So there's ways we've identified really fairly easy opportunities now that we have this status. To our plan for the next year is to be able to bring in $30,000 for the town. Based on a couple of things that we can do. So we set the goal for that. Silver is likely 2 years out because there's a lot of heavy lifting there. But bronze, I think, is good recognition for all the work that's been done. And again, not just the Climate Smart Community Task Force, but also what the board's been doing over the past several years. So, and this helps us out. And we're looking at another grant opportunity for the Rails to Trail. With the New York Forward, it's an important, I looked in all of the villages that received New York Forward had the bronze status. So it is important in the way that they rank those applications. So
we got two of these. I was thinking either entrance of the building inside.
yeah, we can put one up. Yeah.
I'll have the highway department
Yeah.
put them up.
The other one we'll give away at a retirement party.
There you go. I was retiring. I was just kidding.
You got to talk to the guy to your right about that one.
Let's we'll go by the public hearings and we can go on to number 2 and we can start our town meeting now. We're just gonna do a couple other things before we do the public hearings. We can't start those officially until 7 o'clock. But we can go to number 2 on the agenda of the regular meeting. And this is the approval of the minutes. So I need a motion to approve the September 19th, 2023 special meeting minutes, September 25th, 2023 meeting, and the September 27th, 2023 special meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Joe. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jim. Any discussion?
Just thanks again for the special meeting that I was late to. Apologies for that, but to approve the graphic designer for round 1, that really helped out a lot. So thanks for that.
Yep. Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Not sure we want to do the next one before. Why don't we take, let's take a 5-minute break. We're going to take a 5-minute break and we will start our public hearing in 5 minutes at 7 o'clock.
I did. It was the wrong one. I have no idea that one was from Martha, but I do have one with the 055.
That's right.
I don't know how I got in. I put it up and it clicked. The first door was open. Yeah. The second door was closed and it clicked. Must have been open somehow. I don't
So
know.
I emailed them.
Seven.
Well, it's Andy and
My son goes to school at 7:30. 7:35. Both of them, the first and the second. Okay.
call you to the.
There we go.
He said in his email that.
Well, then when I went to the front door, I left the front door. I couldn't get back in the front door.
Yeah,
Yeah, there we go. Story adds up.
Yeah, because I want to take it off here. It's one of the things I would like. to do with my car.
I've never seen these before. I don't know where I found them. I don't know if it sounds like I work in an office or. Yeah. Yeah.
Same subject matter, but one is more expansive on the maintenance obligations. And I thought maybe one is.
I honestly have no idea where that's from. I've never used one of those. I mean, I must have, but how long ago? And why would it be there with my key? I mean, I guess I can explain like we've been cleaning out our basement and maybe found the key somewhere and put it up there. But how long ago that was, I don't know.
But yeah, Andy thought that by January, the discussion could get started, but there's no reason not.
You know, and I don't know if it says
Is it an evergreen contract that automatically renews? Right, right. No, in my mind, well, it comes to an end, but.
That would be.
Oh, yeah.
See you.
Right. I just don't know.
I just don't trust it. Yeah.
So, yeah, Andy said they usually like, to start work now in 6 months from the expiration date.
It wasn't working, it's one of them. But they were blaming the town board. That we assumed that we want to just deny. Where do you even start with that? Village was a person. It's like great vision.
Yeah, and I don't anticipate it. At a time. Oh, thank you. Okay, we have two public hearings tonight. The very first one is the CDBG Community Development Funds. And this is a public hearing to ask the public if they have any ideas of any kind of funding they like to see. And we generally, number one is our funding our rural transit van. But we make it available to the public for their comments. So we'll start this public hearing at 7:01. And if anyone has any comments on the Community Development Block Grant Funds, we would ask them to come up to the mic and give us your name and address and your comments. Anybody here for that? Going once, going twice. Okay. We will close that public hearing at 7:02. All right, our next public hearing is for the Olean Road Golf Center. And this is for the request to put that golf center at 600 Olean Road. And we will start this I'm going to 7:03. We'll start this public hearing at 7:03. If you have a comment on this request, I would ask that you come up to the mic and give us your name and address and your comment. The mic is right in the middle there, and please hold it right up to
That's
your
good. Harrison Kelly, Grover Road, West Falls. Thank you again for giving me an opportunity to address the board and an opportunity to talk about this potential development. Consistent with what we have shared on the town's website, we seek a change in the property zoning so that we can build a family-friendly golf entertainment facility. It's an indoor miniature golf simulation project in phase 1, and potentially phase 2 would involve an outdoor miniature golf course, and potentially phase 3 would involve a driving range. We are only seeking a change in the zoning so that we can move forward with the development of the structure that would house the indoor facilities. We've located and planned this development on 10 acres on the north end of the property, leaving a 4-acre buffer on the south end so as to minimize disruption to our residential neighbors. Additionally, we have planned this development to minimize environmental impacts to the wetlands and existing trees on the property. And I look forward to the community's feedback on this project.
Do we know, Harrison, how wide that 4-acre buffer is? You know, because the property is X deep, and that 4-acre buffer would be 20 feet. 40
It's
feet? Roughly.
Yeah, it runs parallel to the property line
Yes.
and it encompasses the wetlands that's there. So it's roughly 150, 200 feet, something like that. And it runs all the way back to the railroad tracks.
According to the plans, it has it listed as 107, I think I want to say.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. I don't have all the figures.
That's fine.
Committed.
That's fine.
As long as you're here, is there any other
Yeah,
questions?
I do have a question. So the 6 acres that you would have that would not be, part of the buffer.
4 acres. 4 acres are the buffer, and then 10 acres is the development.
Oh, okay. So it's 14 total.
Correct.
All right. So the 10 acres that you have, that I guess then that maybe that answers the question. That would be sufficient if you wanted to put in a driving range and do your additional.
Yes,
Kind of.
and it is detailed in the plans that we submitted.
Okay. So one of the questions I had, as far as I appreciate having the 4 acres, has there been any consideration about having any type of buffer where the property abuts Olean Road, in other words, in front of it? I appreciate marketing is important. You don't want to have someone drive by and get lost because they can't see it. Certainly appreciate there'd be signage, but I'm talking about a buffer that would be on the Olean Road as well as on the north end and south end of the property to a certain extent, so that when you're driving by, there's an appreciation of a rural character. There's an appreciation. There's a lot of businesses that have grown and developed in this area as well. But maybe keeping in mind not only just the neighbors, but the people that travel through that area as well.
Absolutely. We live and work in the community. We are interested in maintaining a rural feel, which is why we're constructing or proposing to construct a monitor style barn. The setback is represented on the drawings. Again, I don't have the figures on how far back it is from Olean Road, but there is the grading sort of, as you know, on that part of Olean Road goes up towards the railroad tracks. So this building would sit back and sort of up in the property. So it would be visible from Olean Road.
Right. There's trees there now on that portion that you would want to have developed abutting Jason or Olean Road, correct?
Yes. So
but you haven't, when you talk about setting back, I think I appreciate that it is set back. I think that's very helpful. But what about having a natural buffer, either a berm or the trees, even if it's just, I'm throwing out a number, 20, 30 feet from the road, where there's trees so that it's not just one more,
Absolutely.
like parking lot there.
Absolutely. Yeah. We would have something to capitalize on the barn feel.
Mhm.
So yeah, whether it's a berm or it's a row of trees, the proposed parking spaces in the front of the building has a setback. So there's a green space, then the lot, and then green space, and then the building.
Right.
On the back end of the building, we are sort of butted up against the wetlands, which we're not seeking to do anything with other than maybe put some bridges over wetland space so that you can go back up into the property. And you mentioned trees. So we did have a tree survey done of all 14 acres. Currently, if you look at the plan on the drawings, we would have to take out, I think it's 10 to 12 pine trees, which we would then be replacing. And that represents less than 2% of the trees that are actually on the property. So unfortunately, most of the trees that we would be removing are dead ash. So.
Once again,
I wanted to, so correct me if I'm wrong here, but we have in front of us, will be in front of us, the first decision, which is to change the zoning of the lot. And then a special use permit process in which we would be able to discuss these specific items. So I want to give you an opportunity maybe to discuss what you feel are the grounds for changing from the current zoning to the zoning that you're requesting. If you could speak about that. And just as some background, that's a separate decision for us that is separate from the project that you're currently pursuing. I know that public hearings are about the project itself, but that is a decision we'll need to make, and we'd like to hear your basis for that.
Well, we feel that it's consistent with the plans for Olean Road, that section of Olean Road has been sort of earmarked as a commercial district. We are seeking a change from its current zoning, which is rural residential at Olean Road, and then behind that it's agricultural.
Mhm.
We're seeking a C2 zoning, commercial 2. We're surrounded by in the back end of the property, the railroad tracks. Across Olean Road is the West Her parking lot. To the north side is the town asphalt driveway and sort of storage area. And to the south, we have 2 residential properties that abut the property. So again, our plan is to not disturb the 4 acres that adjoin the 2 residential properties, so as to maintain their privacy and create that buffer.
Mhm.
But we think that changing the zoning of this property is consistent with this part of Olean Road. For us to move forward with this project, we would need that zoning change.
Yeah. And the surrounding zones across the street,
That's commercial.
right.
And the town asphalt, the driveway and the storage area is actually rural residential and agricultural. And there was some discussion during the planning board meeting about potentially seeking a change at the same time
Mhm.
to that driveway, basically.
Yeah. And have you looked at the regional comprehensive plan and what it has for that area of the town, the direction?
Only briefly.
Yeah. But I think it is consistent with.
I think it is.
A commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you.
I have a couple questions. So just to clarify, the buffer zone that we've discussed, you are not seeking rezoning for that. Is that correct? According to your map, you intend to leave that as rural residential and agricultural.
That's correct.
Would you have any objections to that being deed restricted for future development if we were to grant the change of zoning for the remainder of the property?
We don't have plans for that portion of the property.
Okay.
So I would not be opposed to that.
And then another question, I do see on your map that there are 2 gas wells
There
on the
are,
north, and would you own those? Are those serviced? Are those in use? Or are they just?
they are in use.
Capped.
We do not own them and they are serviced.
So there's already access some way to those gas wells.
Currently, there is it's basically a trail. I wouldn't even call it a road. It's a trail
Okay.
that goes back to both wells. With this potential development, there would actually be better access to the wells, in particular, the one that would be sitting just behind the barn that's sort of right up against where the rail tracks are.
Gotcha. And in keeping with what Councilman Wachensky said, I think it's appropriate. Right now, we're just considering zoning. I do have questions about
Correct.
the development project as well, but that can wait until
Absolutely.
if this should pass, it would wait to the special use permit portion. So
Absolutely. And there have been requests for more details on the structure, and we're just not prepared to do that at this point because we don't have the zoning change that would facilitate what we intend to do currently with the property.
excellent. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Anybody else from the board? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to speak on this? How you doing? Give us your name and address, please.
My name is Therese Campanelli and I live at 258 Olean Street. I am here because I'm opposed to the rezoning of this area and the business that's intended for there as well. I bought my property on Olean Street about 1.5 years ago, and I bought it knowing it was a residential property. I looked at the area, looked at what was in the surrounding area, and chose East Aurora based on what was around here. I did not choose areas such as Lancaster, which have a lot more activity going on. I chose this area because it is slightly rural, a little more small town feeling, and aside from Main Street, the roads aren't overly crowded. I believe that the purchase of this property was never looked at as a residential area. Being that this is a residential area, you look at it, you want to add to the neighborhood. This was purposefully bought with the intention of making it commercial, not add to the residential area. My question would be, how does one supposed residential buyer with the purpose of turning it commercial take precedent over the other residents that live in the area? I'm very aware that there are properties across the street from this proposed rezoned area that are commercial. However, those commercial entities are not there to bring in a ton of traffic and a ton of business. They are more service oriented to the neighborhood. They are Monday through Friday or daytime businesses, and they're certainly not entertainment complexes intended to bring in consumers from around the area. There was an article in the Buffalo News, and it stated that the closest similar indoor complexes are in Tonawanda and Niagara Falls. And the owner of this property is stating that they aim to fill a void of golf-themed entertainment, of a golf-themed entertainment center. I didn't realize East Aurora was clamoring for that. And they also said that they would like to draw in people, they would draw in and capitalize on the businesses along Main Street. To me, that would take away business, some business from Main Street. East Aurorans, all it takes is a quick look at Facebook, and you can see that East Aurorans complain all the time about the traffic on Main Street. They're very vocal about it. This complex will draw traffic down Olean Street. That traffic will come from Main Street itself and the exit off of 400 onto Main Street. There is no exit off the 400 that leads to Olean Street past the Main Street exit, which means that everyone will get off the 400, make a right-hand turn, and then make a left-hand turn onto Olean Street. I'm also well aware that this is a county road, and I bought my property based on that. What I want to prevent is additional traffic coming down this street. People already don't follow the speed limit, apologies, on that street. That's fine. I live there. I bought the house there with that knowledge. I did my research. There's a clear intention to draw a lot of people to this golf complex, as evidenced by the fact that it's going in 3 phases. And the fact that Channel 4 is here already, and this is just a rezoning. They will build up. They will continuously want to draw in more people from the surrounding areas. The complex will build up so that it is a year-round entertainment center. And they will no doubt, and I may be assuming here, apply for a liquor license, advertise, and bring in as many people as possible. It's just smart business. My other question would be, has there been any kind of traffic study done?
There will be,
Thank you. How will a busier,
if it
sir?
passes. If it passes.
Thank
there
you.
would be.
I would also add that I would think more traffic on my street is going to increase the dangers. There are children, there are animals. And a busier street, I would think, would decrease my home value. I think the entertainment needs to be kept where it belongs. And I don't believe that that is in East Aurora on Olean Street. The purchaser wants to change this to a residential area. We don't need that change. Thank you.
Just for clarification, are you the property immediately to the south of the proposed?
No, sir, I'm not. I'm
Okay.
between Chestnut Hill and.
Oh, Chestnut, I'm sorry. I thought you
That's
said-
okay, between Chestnut Hill and the viaduct for the railroad.
Thank you very much.
So, and I would like to add, I know I am not abutting the property. My concern, which I will reiterate, is the traffic that is going to go down a residential street. We're heavily residential from Main Street down to that viaduct. And that's where all the traffic will go.
Thank you for your thoughts.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak on this issue? Step up to the mic, please, and give us your name and address. Rod?
Bye, Barry.
Oh, boy, sitting down.
Rod Simeon, Byberry Court. First of all, I am not advocating for or against the project. What I'm here for is to point out some of the things for the board to consider in this project. First of all, as the applicant said, the comprehensive plan kind of gave a guideline for Olean to be commercial. It's one of the few areas that is earmarked to be considered for commercial development. So if you do rezone this, it's not really in the true essence spot zoning. It's really a continuation of zoning to C2. Everything to the north up to the village line, pretty sure is commercial. So the applicant has proposed, in essence, creating 3 zones. He's asking for 10 acres for commercial and 4 acres for remain RR, which is residential and agricultural. And that's good, except I suppose if passed, you could commit to that, but that's kind of on a handshake. The second option that you folks have could be to zone the entire thing commercial. But in my opinion, that has some drawbacks because that would allow him or successors to do commercial all the way up to the property line to the south. So the third suggestion I have is that if you do approve it, that you make it contingent on dividing the property into 2 lots. The 10 acres for commercial, the 4 acres remain rural residential. In so doing, the town then has control over any creeping commercialism that would creep down to the south. If you granted it to the entire property to commercial, theoretically, this owner or subsequent owners, because properties get sold, they could put a driving range right next to that house. A driving range has noise, and I don't think the town wants to get into the issue that certainly not the pickleball situation that the village has. So a 4 acre of heavily dense wood would create a nice buffer for keeping that situation down. Again, consider that properties change hands. If it's successful or not successful, it could be sold. And if you don't lock in real tight guidelines, the subsequent owner could change that. So that's my suggestion to consider going forward.
I think,
Thank
yeah,
you.
Any questions?
yeah. So you remember we put in there that when a commercial was up against a residential, there was a minimum lot size that we required, a side setback.
Yes.
Do you remember what that was?
I don't know, and by this drawing, I can't tell if that 4 acres is 104 or 250. This drawing that was on the website is kind of unclear. If it's 104, if you divided it into that is not a buildable lot, because you need 125 feet for a structure.
Yeah. I mean, my thought is, because the zoning decision is one, and then the site plan, special use permit is another. So I think, I hesitate to mix those two decisions together. Not to say that, the special use permit, it really is our tool to be able to provide that. I hadn't thought about splitting the lot personally, and then it would have to be residential after that. We'd have to go back to the comp plan as well and look at it. But I'd also be interested to look back and see because I remember doing that. Remember we had set that it was something about the height of the building and how far, and that side setback was pretty big, I thought, but we'll have to take a look.
And I agree.
Yeah.
But it seems like 10 acres, they would probably have sufficient property to not encumber the south. If you divide that property.
Right. Maybe, yeah.
What we did on the Mill Road project where the patio homes are. And I forget the acreage. I think it's 70 acres of that land. We deed restricted.
Right, which Joe brought up before. Yeah.
We didn't change the zoning. We just made sure that their development cannot exceed onto that 70 acres of green space.
Right.
So it's deed restricted, I think, for 99 years.
The reason why the zoning, we should not be using that as the tool. And I think, Rod, this was a point that you were making in the beginning, because look at if we rezone part of it as residential, we need to have a reason for that. Otherwise, you can come in and challenge that rezone in the future and say it should be commercial. It's commercial right next to it. And so I think that we all probably agree that there should be, if this goes forward, a significant buffer with the residential zone. But I don't think that is achieved with zoning. I think we have other tools to achieve that. But I didn't think about splitting the lot. That might be something to look into. So thank you for that suggestion.
What considerations?
Yeah.
Yes.
There's definitely some questions we'd have to.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rod. Is anybody else interested in speaking on this? How you doing? Could you give us your name and address, please?
Yep. My name's Sam Reedy. I live at 692 Olean. I just want to voice my opposition to the rezoning and a few concerns that I have. In 2016, 2017, all the agricultural land was rezoned to rural residential for the purpose of, paraphrasing, maintain the integrity of our neighborhoods. Within 3 years of moving in to my property, that will make both of my neighbors rezoned for business purposes, making me, through my research, the only property in the town of Aurora that is surrounded by businesses. This will be across from, again, through my research, I believe that parking lot used to be an old driving range, and now it's a parking lot that's lit 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So what's stopping that from happening again, should this change ownership for the property? I have one question. Has this gone before the zoning board of appeals?
It has.
So we were not notified, and per the town code, we're supposed to be
Did
getting
it-
a written
zoning-
notice 15 to 5 days
Went to the planning
before.
board.
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah.
My mistake. Planning board. Did
Okay.
not go to the
All
zoning
right.
board. Planning.
Thank you.
I know when for the board, I
Thank you.
misunderstood.
Have you and your neighbors signed up for Code Red?
Yeah,
Okay, because we have distributed via Code Red for this meeting. You should have received that.
I did not. I will double check to make sure. But I couldn't find anything about a requirement for a written one for the town board, so it's not bring it up. And then finally, would be, should this go through enforcement concerns? I already have enforcement issues with my neighbors on the other side in regards to operation and construction hours and such. Just something for you guys to be aware of. How will that be prevented and how will that be handled in the future? Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? How you doing?
My name is Tim Sonner. I live in Arcade, but I own Tri-County Tool Rental. Obviously a neighbor to this business, proposed business plan. I'd like to make it clear that I don't live there. I don't sleep there. I'm not there at night, so I'm not looking at it from that point of view. But from a business point of view, just to shed some light on it, I've been there since 1989. It's a great area of town. I love it. I'm very, very vested in it. I'm just surprised how often I'll get customers coming into my store, and even after all these years, and say, I never knew you guys were here. And I thought everybody pretty much knew me or knew where we were. So from a business point of view, I'm surprised how little traffic hits that end of town. Me and the other business owners over the years have had ideas of, how to bring some people down, postcards at Christmas and Black Friday shopping and stuff like that. Nothing's really worked, not for our types of business. But again, just as, for my investment, my future, for my company, I'm not opposed to, more public, public visual, just more people seeing it, more people knowing who I am and what I do. So from that point of view, I'd have to say that I'm okay with it.
Where's the ambulance? You know about the ambulance, the ambulance center coming in that the county is building?
The what?
Have you heard of that? That borders doesn't that border the lot? I mean, we don't have they have a municipal sovereignty, so they're not going to be coming in and asking us, but the Erie County is building an ambulance center on where is that lot in comparison to?
It's just south of this
Yeah,
proposed.
just south of where you are.
Just,
Oh. So they'll be housing 5 ambulances in there that will back up volunteer fire companies around the area. So if that's something I was just bring this while you're here, something to think about. We can put you in contact with the county people who are working on that project to work out any issues. Again, we don't have any control over it because they have municipal sovereignty. But
so does that change the zoning for that little strip there?
Just like with the town, when it built in the village, we could pretty much do whatever we wanted to here. The county has the same right within the
On that
town.
strip with that building out back. No, I did not hear that at all. but yeah, I'd love to know. more
Yeah,
about
write
it.
write it to either me or to the town board at townaurora.com, and we'll put you in touch with the project managers just so you can sit down with them. I'm sure they'd be happy to do so.
Yeah, I would like to know. That's like right in my backyard.
Yep.
So I'd be interested in just what the plans are.
It'll be safer, that's for sure.
Yeah, I've had an ambulance at my shop before, so that's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I'm Greg Schneider with Aurora Architectural Design, 686 Quaker Road in East Aurora. I would like to start by acknowledging that I do have an interest in seeing this project approved and constructed because our firm was fortunate enough to be hired by Harrison Kelly to do the concept plan that he presented. And I wanted to point out a few things and maybe answer a few questions that came up earlier. But first, I'd like to say that when I first met Harrison and we walked the site, the thing he emphasized to me, the most important thing was to maintain as much of the existing trees as possible, landscape as possible, and basically maintain or retain the wetlands and work around those. And so the nature of the overall plan was to integrate his vision for a family-friendly golf facility with the natural landscape, which, I think we attempted to do. And, I feel comfortable that we were pretty successful in that. A couple of things I'd like to point out. The building is set back 85 feet from the right of way. So it's a good distance back. We do have a landscape buffer in front of the parking. And then basically the building would be built into the hillside with the basement level being essentially like a walkout basement. And the whole kind of monitor barn concept was Harrison's as well. And of course, I worked with him to develop it. The idea is that the lower level would be stone and look like the lower level of a lot of barns that the cows would be walking into. On the overall site, we did, and I think I even suggested this to Harrison initially, that since he has no plans to develop the southernmost property, that we keep that as rural residential as a natural buffer to the neighboring property. And there is two major wetlands on this property that both are essentially created by underpasses under the railroad tracks. In other words, when the railroad was built, they made underpasses for stormwater every 200 or 300 feet. And I've dealt with other properties, and that can be, a little difficult to deal with if your building's not in a good spot. So those would be maintained. The area that the driving range is proposed in is essentially a natural clearing with a couple of trees in it. My understanding of that range would be more like it's not, hit the ball 300 yards. It's more of a target range. You're shooting uphill about 25 feet, probably from the tee boxes to the fenced in back property line that would buffer the railroad tracks. On that rural residential agricultural lot to the south, it is a total of 205 feet in width at the road. And that's the 101 plus the 104. And the reason for that is the front property line was not one straight line across. There were 2 or 3 bends in it. So we, worked with that property line, and that's why we had the 101 plus 104, giving us 205, which, complies with an agricultural lot, and also is right on the line of the southernmost wetland. So you've got a natural buffer, then this property, then the residential property. It's not that big of a facility. I mean, we had up to close to, I think, 48 parking spaces proposed, which would include phase 1 and phase 2. And even with the parking, we're looking at keeping materials on site. The excavation for the foundation is going to be used for fill in some of the parking areas. We do have, pretty good screening on each side. We're over 100 feet from the north property line, which I believe is an Erie County highway storage property. I'm not sure if it's a town of Aurora or Erie County, but there's a road that goes up in a storage yard in the back with a not so attractive, metal fence separating us and some tree lines as well. So I think this could be a very successful project and an enhancement to the village and town of Aurora.
Okay, thank you. Right between those, so yeah, that's fine. Anybody else? Nobody? One more chance? Okay, then we will close this public hearing at 7:38. We can discuss this a little as a board if we'd like. Generally, we do not vote on the same night as a public hearing. There's been some ideas floated that I think we need to discuss and investigate. So I would defer to holding off on voting on this tonight. But is there any comments from the board before we go on to our next item?
I would like to get clarity. So I'm looking at the map as it was submitted for the property, and I have the rear width of 600 feet. Does that sound right to you? Yes. And then the sections for the two portions, phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 are listed at 530 feet. So I don't think it's 205 feet of frontage on the buffer zone. I believe that number is 104 based on the map I'm looking at. Can you confirm that? Because it appears well, if that's the case, it's not to scale on what was submitted, because the 104 portion is only about 3 centimeters long and the 101 portion is maybe an inch long. I'd want that confirmed, what that frontage was on that part before we proceeded.
Like I said previously, I think this is a two-step process, and the first decision is the zoning. And I don't think, as you know, that our decision should be in relation to this specific project. I think we need to take a look at the comprehensive plan, and we need to take a look at this area of the town and how it fits in and what the zoning is, and if the zoning is appropriate or not for that area of the town. I am also not against doing anything today, because we have this proposal to have rural residential on a certain part. I don't even know how we would do that. Right? You'd have to be, I don't even know if there's a mechanism to do that. So I think we can go back to the drawing board and look at this. But I come to that decision as separate from what would if that passes the secondary decision, which is what specifically would be on that zone if we award the requested zoning change. So
I agree with you on that. I think we need to speak with our building inspector, our attorney, and see what kind of ideas that we can come up with. That would be the best way to go about this.
Right.
Yeah, and take all of the things that everyone has given us tonight, and everybody's voices were heard, and we'll take that in consideration and just go from there.
Right. And that's if we have to base this on whether we are either going to change it or not. But
yeah,
correct. Yeah.
I think
It's a long process if it is changed. I mean, that first decision is a serious decision and one that we need to put a little time into. And then if that does pass, then there is a second decision that is probably even more long. So,
yeah.
And that's when we get into a lot of the issues that we discussed today. So let's have those conversations about that step one, and then we'll see where that leads us.
Yep. All right. Moving on.
Next on the agenda is audience, and this is an opportunity for anybody to address the board on any of the items that are on the agenda. If you wish to do so, please come up to the mic and give us your name. Sure.
I just have one question.
Please grab the mic and that's right. Thank you.
I just have one question related to the zoning decision. Will that vote be done in another meeting, or will that just be announced? How is that handled? I'm not familiar with the procedures.
That would be done in a public meeting. I'm not too sure if it'll be the next meeting or not.
Okay.
Depends on
Not
where
this
we,
one, no.
yeah,
Yes,
but not this meeting.
thank you.
And that should be on our website. Our agenda is on our website.
Mhm.
And it also our, do we have that on it?
Well, the code red, I don't do, it's geo-targeted, and so I didn't go as far as your house, so I'm sure you didn't get that message.
I did not.
I guess we could expand it, but it's also, because we're limiting it to the neighbors around that are most affected.
But if you check our website.
Yeah.
I do, yes.
On Friday, or I think you posted, right, Martha? On the Friday before the Monday of our meeting, they'll have all the items that we're going to be addressing.
And,
Okay?
and
Yes.
Facebook will try to post.
Yeah.
About that.
I think you can be confident it'll be the next meeting or the following meeting.
Yeah.
Not a guarantee, but that would be the
Next to the
expectation.
one after.
Yeah.
Understood.
You can always call my office too if you have a question on any of that.
Okay.
Okay.
I will. Thank you.
Anybody else? Don't go. Oops.
So how many watch it?
Didn't
There
listen.
was a very delayed drop the mic moment that you had.
We spent a lot of money on those clips.
Do you have anybody online, Liz? Okay. Then unfinished business, we have none. We'll move on to new business. We talked about this in the work session, the New York Ford PowerPoint. And we're voting on the All These Wonders LLC to do the PowerPoint at a quote of $150 per hour, not to exceed $500. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Jim,
Second,
second by Luke. Any discussion?
do we need to add the budget transfers to the agenda? Or do those not need
Well, we
to?
don't know how much it is yet. So
Oh,
once
yeah.
we get that.
So we can do that
invoice,
next
we can do a
meeting, yeah?
budget amendment.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Next, we have the JCAP grant application. We had Judge Marcello here to speak to us about carpeting in the judge area, effectively in the whole courtroom and in the clerk's room. And this would be a grant for up to $30,000. So do I have a motion to authorize the town court to apply for a JCAP grant in the 2023-2024 grant cycle up to 30,000?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Chuck,
Second,
second by Joe. Any discussion?
Yeah, I think on that, it also needs to be signed by the supervisor. That's my understanding, and or mayor.
Yes, it does.
Okay, so is that part of the motion as well?
I can add that, not only to approve, but to authorize the supervisor to sign. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Next, we have the application for dwelling group. And this is the one we talked about, 4479 Transit Road. This is the garage apartment. And everything seems to be ordered. We have the approvals by the zoning. So do I have a motion to approve the application for dwelling group at 4479 Transit Road in Orchard Park?
So moved.
Motion by Luke,
Second.
second by Joe. Is there any discussion?
I do have a question. If look on the decision of the zoning board of appeals. And I can just read it, indicates that after due deliberation, they did approve it with I think a 4-1 vote. And then near the end, it says with the condition that the property can never be subdivided. And the variance is being granted in accordance with the testimony exhibit presented. But the question about it being subdivided, I just didn't know. I just wanted to bring it up for discussion because I think it's a great idea. They're having a family member live there. The brick and frame garage is not attached to the main dwelling. I just can't imagine. I don't think it's a big enough property to subdivide anyways. And I just wanted to bring it up for discussion. I don't think that's an issue, correct?
I have to agree with you.
Okay.
I don't think it is.
It would be.
It was
Near
brought up
impossible
by
split.
the zoning board, and that's why I just wanted to make sure before we voted on it.
Yeah.
That's all. Thank you.
Did you have something to say? Ryan?
Clarification on that.
Thank you.
Technically, agree with the site of the property is 7 acres. So from the legal standpoint, 2/4 acre is required for a road. So we could subdivide it into 2 lots. The reason we put that restriction on there was that the main house is kind of in the middle of property. So they were able to subdivide it, they would have to cut through the main house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we put the restriction on there that you cannot ever subdivide.
And that restriction is enforced as a result of the ZBA's ruling. It's nothing that we have to add to our motion.
Did that gentleman give his address?
What was that?
Did that gentleman give his address?
Who was that masked man?
I don't remember giving him his address.
He's on speed dial.
He's on speed. Thank you, Rod.
Okay, any other discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then you are in business. Okay,
You don't have to come back in November.
no.
December.
Now this is
Dealing with the
approved.
Building
Yeah.
department. No on.
Oh.
Okay, next we have the Blakely Corner. Traffic study request, and this is a request to check out the winding and road and the speed limit on Blakely Road at Post Risk east of the Olean Road area. So we needed to do a resolution for the county to come down and look at traffic calming things that we could do, hopefully slow people down and make them aware of the dangers. So do I have a motion to approve that resolution?
So moved.
Motion by Joe,
I'll second.
second by Chuck. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, next we have the changes to the 2024 tentative budget. And this is from Kathleen Moffett. These are the following list of changes made to the 2024 tentative budget. Increase A fund appropriated fund balance from 130,000 to 138,100. Increase A 1220.102 assistant to the supervisor from $48,481 to $49,718. Increase A 1410.100 town clerk from $72,908 to $74,158. Increase A 3620.100 code enforcement officer from $71,223 to $72,000 $459. Increase A 5010.00 Highway Superintendent from $72,908 to $74,158. Increase A 6772.100 Senior Center Director from 55,000 to 56,236. Increase A 7020.100 Director of Recreation from $58,835 to $60,072. And increase A 9030.800 Social Security from 130,000 to 130,600. The impacts on the budget are as follows. We are going to be $36,364 under the tax cap. The A fund will have a 2.97% tax increase. The B fund will have a 0.47% tax decrease. The DA fund, which is our bridge fund, will have a 5.6 tax increase. And the DB fund will have a 1.73% tax decrease. I'll just reiterate on the bridge fund, the 5.6% sounds like a lot, but it's a total of $4,320. Okay, so it's not a big money increase, but a big percent increase. And what's in that increase is the highway superintendent stipend, the payroll, materials, and so forth. So any questions?
I just want to put for background more for the advertiser that's listening, probably just to say that our approach has been to remain within the tax cap, but we also recognize that our employees are the major part of what it is, the services that we're providing, and we need to remain competitive. And when we have the room within the budget to increase salaries of our key employees without going over the tax cap, then we find that to be a responsible decision. So that's the reasoning behind these proposed amendments. I think if anyone wants to add into that, but.
Anybody else? No. Yeah, retention is becoming very hard in any business. And so we addressed certain areas that we thought needed to keep ahead of the inflation, keep ahead of the minimum wage. And so that was the decision. I think the all in all budget is very flat. And considering all the things that we've done, I think it's a good budget. And I thank you guys for working with me. I know we still have to have a public hearing on it and everything, but this is looking closer and closer to reality. So any other questions or comments? If not, I need a motion to approve the tentative budget changes.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Chuck,
Second.
second by Luke. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. And therefore, then I would need a motion to approve the amended tentative budget.
So moved.
Motion by Luke,
I'll second.
second by Chuck. Any discussion?
So remains tentative, to be clear. It's our new official tentative budget.
Yep.
All right.
We made the changes.
Now it's going to be preliminary. We're moving up the scale here.
Yep.
All right.
And
Are we going too fast, Joe?
Nope, I got it. Keep it up.
Stay seated. Stay seated.
I'll talk to
it's a
you
good
after.
place to be. It's a good place to be. And again, I can't thank the board enough for working. We worked very hard to keep under the tax cap, and which is very challenging every year. But I think we've done, in my 10 years, we had one budget that exceeded the tax cap, and that was during COVID, where we had very reduced revenues. So it's a good place to be.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Joe,
I'll second.
second by Chuck. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Now, the next step, Joe, is set the public hearing for the 2024 preliminary budget. And we're looking at
Oh, dear.
October 23rd at 7 PM. Is that correct? Is that a correct date?
So yeah, so we have a town board meeting that evening. That's the idea, right?
Okay, yeah. Sorry. Just wanted to double check. And so that'll be the night that we have a public hearing and we'll present, do a PowerPoint presentation on the budget and then have a public hearing. And then the very next, I think, is going to be a special meeting
Oh, that's right, because
because somebody's going to be out of town or working at a Bills game.
somebody else is going to be too.
So
Thank you.
yeah, so do I have a motion to set the public hearing for the 2024 preliminary operating budget for 7 o'clock on October 23rd?
So wait, just to get this straight,
So moved.
two of us are gonna be going over to the Bills game and then leaving the rest of us here, sitting
Take the
here
brunt of it.
to take the brunt of it
Yeah.
and not be watching,
That's
yeah?
right.
No,
That's
we're,
right.
we're not gonna do it that night. We're gonna do a special meeting.
Oh, we're not doing the 23rd?
We're not gonna have the.
In November.
Oh. November
Did
23rd?
you guys ever look at your schedules that I give you?
I just have a J.
I go to a lot
Write
of
the
trouble
spam
for this.
email for me and then I.
I'll have Joe explain it to you.
All right, so we have it, so November 23rd is when we, okay,
Public hearing.
That's just a public hearing.
yeah.
I got you.
Then in November, we have to adopt the budget. That's the very last item. But
But we're still gonna have the public.
some
No,
people.
the
are
public hearing,
working.
yeah, there's a public hearing. He's trying to trick us, but it's still,
Yeah.
He's-
what I said was true.
I'm not,
What you
smart- I'm
said,
not smart enough to trick you.
Okay.
All right, did I have a motion out there? Does someone want to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second. Any discussion?
We do have a PowerPoint if, for the New York Forward, that PowerPoint, that work, that's our work that we paid for. So if you want to use that model,
That's all right.
you know, to do your
I think I already,
PowerPoint.
we have a set model that I
Yeah.
used
Yeah.
every year. It's already, it's almost complete. We just had to change a few numbers on it, so. But thank you. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, next, we need a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign and submit and execute contracts with the Erie County Community Development Block Grant Program for the following projects upon approval of the ECC DBG. And our item is continuation of rural transit services program, our bus service. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Jim,
Second,
second by Joe. Any discussion?
it's great service.
Mhm.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. All right, this is a budget amendment from Kathleen Moffett. And the state share of the federal disaster 4694 severe winter storm, snowstorm. And we need to amend our record of receipt of funds to increase line DB 4960 federal aid FEMA by $5,236.23 and increase appropriation line DB 5142.449 materials and supplies by $5,236.23. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
By Chuck,
Second.
second by Luke. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. We have another budget amendment for highway FEMA funds. And this is to add an increased revenue line DB 4960 federal aid FEMA by $31,417.35. Increase appropriation line DB 5142.412 December snowstorm 2022 by $8,767.97. And increase appropriation line DB 5142.449 snow materials and supplies by $22,649.38. Do I have a motion to approve the budget amendment?
So moved.
Motion by Jim.
Second. Oh, go ahead,
Go
Chuck.
ahead.
Joe. Second by Chuck. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Another budget amendment. And this is for insurance recovery on damage to the Aurora Library. This is for funds recovered. A truck, an Amazon truck hit the library, and did some gutter damage, I believe. Add an increased revenue line A 2680 insurance recoveries by $1,275 and increase appropriation line A 1620.422 buildings and grounds and repairs by $1,275. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Joe,
I'll second.
second by Jim. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. L is a budget transfer by David Gunner. And are you guys gonna make me read this, or do you want to approve it as listed?
I'm fine with approving as listed.
As
Okay.
am I.
Do I have a motion then?
I'll make a motion to approve as listed.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Chuck. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Another budget transfer. This is from the Highway Department. Please approve the transfer of $7,302 from account 1620.414 to account 1620.422 to pay for the overhead garage door replacement at the Highway Department. The expense was approved at the August 14th board meeting, but there was not enough money in buildings R&M to cover.
To cover it.
That's about it. Buildings, so do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Chuck. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Joe. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, and that is carried. Next, we have. Please find a listing of amounts due from water authority customers in your water districts in whom billings have been issued and payment has not been received. Under contracts between Erie County Water Authority and Water District Boards of Commissioners, provisions were made the event of non-payments of water bills, the water district would proceed to collect such unpaid charges in the manner prescribed by law. They request to make such collections in whatever manner is provided. And this is there's a list on the back, the second page of the names and people who are delinquent. And I believe this goes on the tax roll, right? So do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Joe. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Chuck. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, and that is carried. O, delinquent water in Aurora. Please have the following delinquent town of Aurora water customers added to the county of Erie tax rolls for 2024. This is from Martha Leibrock. And the names are as listed. I will not read them. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Chuck,
Second.
second by Luke. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. This is from Kathleen Moffett. She requests approval to use debt reserve funds to make a $1,665 interest payment to Greene County Commercial Bank for the Glebe Avenue parking lot bond. The payment is due October 15th, 2023. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Joe. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jim. You guys understand that this is money that's already been set aside from the sale of Glebe?
Yep.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. This is from Donna from the Senior Center. She's asking for permission to purchase Hunter Douglas Power View Skylight blinds, including installation for their dining room. She's included 2 quotes, with the lowest from Ethan Allen at $2,990. And this fund will be taken from the grant we received from legislator Melzowski. Was in placed in line A6772.401. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Jim,
I'll second.
second by Chuck. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. And this is from Donna also. She's asking the town board accept a donation of $250 from the Kiwanis Club of East Aurora to be placed in TA 1000.90. Do I have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Motion by Jim,
Second.
second by Joe. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Next, we have communication and reports. We have the September 2023 reports from town clerk and tax, town clerk water, senior center, dog control, work requisitions, East Aurora Police, and the supervisors report. We also have the Erie County Ambulance Service press release. Next, we'll go to business from board members, and I will start with Councilman Joe McCann.
Thank you very much, Supervisor Bach. As we've posted on our social media, I wanted to give Dave Gunner thanks to his department. He's not here tonight. The AED was installed in the bathroom over at the pool park. It'll be available when the park is open. I don't know exactly what those hours are, but it's sunrise to sunset essentially. And it'll be available during spring, summer, and fall. In the winter, the park is closed. So I think that's fantastic. Thanks for everybody's cooperation on getting that in there. It's really with
And
the
that's
pickleball.
beside one of the new bathrooms. right?
One of the new bathrooms, the one closest to South Street. And there's a sign outside that indicates there's an AED inside. So that should be enough. It's in a case with an alarm. So if somebody accesses it, it'll go off. So it's
Who's keeping isn't someone have to be responsible?
I believe the highway department, I was going to follow up with that this week because there's also a key that's needed to reset the alarm.
Right.
So I know Mike Engelfigure actually did the installation. I want to figure out who has possession of that key and then we can determine who should.
Because I think there's some record keeping or.
Every 6 months, it has a light on it that indicates it's still in good health.
Mhm.
And that needs to be recorded that somebody went over and took a gander at that light and saw that it was still green. So, yep, those are things we need to address for sure. I also heard from EA Baseball. Once again, I was hoping to discuss this with the highway superintendent. They are looking to install a batting cage. Apparently, they already talked to Dave Gunner. They want to do that instead of some backstops that they had wanted. So there's going to be some further discussions. Chuck, I'm sure you'll want to be in on that too to see what kind of costs will be involved and what exactly is entailed. And I also, with that opportunity, I poked him a little bit on that mural they said they wanted to do. I know Chris is sort of interested in having that real estate if they drop the ball. The president, Dan Mursky, said he'd follow up with the board and make sure they were still interested in doing a mural. And obviously we would have approval over any mural before it was painted. And that's what I have.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jim.
Joe took up most of my speaking time, but
Is it?
Waiting to do this. Not necessarily town board related, but the West Falls Falls Fest I heard has been canceled. It was very successful last year. It was a cooperative effort with Blueberry Farm and West Falls Center for the Arts. The artists, everyone had been contracted to come out, but there was one of the parties wasn't able to kind of follow through with it. So Just throwing it out there in case anyone from maybe the advertisers listening and wants to put it in there. You know, or Channel 4, any one of the big news agencies, or anyone sitting here. But it's not gonna happen this weekend. That's it. That's all I have.
Thanks.
Just wanted to mention that I attended the Association of Towns meeting with Supervisor Bach last Tuesday. And as you can imagine, the major discussion was all about budgets, but it's really good to hear and bounce off ideas off of the other supervisors in the surrounding areas. It was a great meeting. But that was all I have.
Thank you.
Yeah, I spoke before. We have the bronze status, which we didn't announce, I think, until the day, I guess, officially. And the New York Forward grant took me forever, but it's done. And I think it's really, really good. I think it's a lot better than last year. I really think we have a very good shot. So we look forward to next Monday, right? When we have
Yes.
when we'll present to the application committee and keep our fingers crossed.
You're buying dinner that night, right?
What's up?
You said you were buying
I
dinner.
can't, I'm sorry to.
Still nothing.
We'll talk.
We're gonna get some borscht. That's what we'll do.
Yeah, oh, geez.
I have nothing tonight, so we'll go right to audience. And this is an opportunity for anybody in the audience to speak to the board on any item whatsoever. Please give us your name and address and talk into the mic.
Patrick Hanley, 845 Main Street. Very official information. I don't know if you knew, and I can't believe you didn't say anything, that the opportunity you just had, but our supervisor's birthday was Saturday.
Oh.
So he was, he's 76.
Again?
No, he's not. He's 67 and he spent the day at Home Depot. So he had a good day. Just want everybody to know that.
Very
Thank you,
nice.
Pat.
Well played.
Pay for that. Anybody else? Nobody?
15
We
minutes.
got
okay.
the mic here and everything. Okay. Then we'll go to staff reports. And who we got over there? Paul? All is all well, okay.
Thanks to Paul and to William for doing an update on the map for our application. Very timely. So appreciate it.
Doug. Okay, Rich?
Nothing, the department, we're looking forward to getting back to staff. When possible.
Okay, I imagine you are. Shane?
Nothing.
Wow.
Did I skip anybody? All right, motion to approve the abstract.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Chuck.
Second.
Second by Joe. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it is carried, and a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Joe,
I'll second.
second by Jim. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried.